Welcome back. This is Niaga AWANI. We're trying to share with you some market updates on Marketwatch. This is a collaboration between us and Biztech Asia. The conversation will revolve around how the 1 trillion funding gap in China will spark concerns from the market. Doing this interview is Ibrahim Sani. He'll be speaking with Jeffrey Haley, the senior market analyst at Wanda.
One thing that is catching analysts' attention now and with rising concern over the funding gap that exists in China as a result of the lower revenues that they've been receiving out of land sales and tax refunds and so forth. Now, that gap is estimated to be as much as $1 trillion US. And that's something that they've got to go out and basically take on more debt. What's your view on this, and how is that going to impact the Chinese economy?
Well, I guess it depends on whether it's $1 trillion worth of yuan or not, and these numbers are quite opaque when it comes to China anyway. But I mean, if the central government is competing for capital in the bond market along with borrowers, then that would be normally quite a challenge for interest rates. But in this case, economic activity has fallen dramatically in China, and the big Chinese banks are sitting on bucket loads of cash that they can't lend out to anybody. Also, household savings are very, very high. So although, yes, that's a big number, I think it's entirely fundable, if that's actually a word, and it's not really a story at this stage. And I think if it was a story, then we would have seen Chinese equities on the mainland particularly head lower today. But instead, it's clear that the Shanghai and Beijing reopenings and the increase in economic activity is what's driving markets. So I don't think we need to be hitting the panic button just yet.
Okay, so that was the conversation that we saw. You can watch the whole thing on Biztech Asia. So mungkin Harits, kita fokus kepada saham perkembangan pada hari ini di Bursa Malaysia. Seperti mana kita tahu,
bursa dulu.
Yes, Bursa Malaysia sekarang masih lagi trending dan ini disebabkan antara perkembangan yang terkini yang boleh kita bawakan. Tetapi mungkin kita boleh start with some news. Late buying interest pushed FBM KLCI up 1.75% in the last 10 minutes of the trading yesterday, ahead of changes that will take place against the MSCI's equity indices as part of its biannual review. The 11th hour rally turned the Malaysian benchmark index into one of Tuesday's best performers in Southeast Asia region as it spikes 1.75% or 27.08 points to 1570 or 1,570 points. And of course, this is the highest in almost 4 weeks. The trading volume among the component stocks rose to a 5-year high of 745 million indexes being traded or shares being traded, with the previous highest seen at 834.2 million on May 31st, 2016. That was like 6 years ago, which was also one of MSCI's mid-year review deadline that year. So deadline day seems to be a good thing for the KLCI. Trading value or turnover meanwhile rose to 3.78 billion ringgit, the highest daily volume recorded since May 29, 2020, just after the MCO when it clocked in at 4.29 billion ringgit. The latest turnover is also about 4 times since the last year's 5-year average. So pagi ini kita tengok KLCI is 1558.99 ataupun 1559 points, down by 10 points. So naik satu macam, turun satu macam after berapa minit ni? 48 minutes of trading, with over 565 million done. Okay, kita boleh bergerak ke some corporate news. Petronas reports a 154% jump in the first quarter. This is because of the jump happening in profit after tax for the first quarter ended March 31st, 2022 to 23.44 billion ringgit from 9.22 billion ringgit in the corresponding quarter the year before, as operating profit more than doubled following upward trend in prices offset by higher product costs as well as taxation. Some quarterly revenues also is important to be discussed, including rising to 49.87% to 78.75 billion ringgit, up from 52.55 billion ringgit same period last year, which it was said to predominantly impact price from major products in line with higher benchmark prices, according to a Petronas statement from Petronas. It is Petronas' strongest bottom line performance in at least a decade, Wow, at least a decade, on the back of higher crude prices as well as some average Brent prices rising to above $100 per barrel. The last time the Brent average breaching that $100 per barrel was back in financial year 2013. And of course, if you look on your screen right now, Petchem is down 18 cent to 10 ringgit 8 cent. And maybe we can talk about PetDeg as well because PetDeg is down a bit this morning by 1 ringgit. Wow, it's quite a drop to 21.48. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about the connection between Petronas and Serba Dynamic. This is because Serba Dynamic received a 1-year renewal license from Petronas. This is to continue offering supply and services to the National Oil and Gas Company and its contractors. In a statement yesterday, Serba Dynamic said that the renewal is effective May 30th, 2022 and is for a 1-year term. The license stipulates that Serba Dynamic shall, within 1 year from the effective date, submit its audited financial statements for the financial year ending June 30th, 2022, duly accompanied by the auditor's unqualified opinion. Also, Serba Dynamic is supposed to say that this is required to submit financial guarantees as a prerequisite for all and every Serba Dynamics participation in tenders initiated and or conducted within 1 year from the effective date. Tengok tu Acap, macam-macam dia punya condition dia. And of course, Petronas will engage with Serba Dynamics on the details of financial guarantee requirements. So Serba DK pagi ini, macam mana dia punya perform? Up 2 cent by 12 cent. 12 cent, imagine that. It used to be about 5 ringgit actually. Okay, also oil and gas. Sapura Energy is in the news. This is because Sapura Energy Berhad said that its external auditor has expressed its unqualified opinion with material uncertainty related to the group's ability to continue as a going concern. Messrs. Ernst & Young PLT or EY expressed the opinion in the audited financial report statements ended Jan 31st, 2022. And of course, EY highlighted that the integrated upstream service providers reported a net loss of 9.06 billion ringgit for financial year 2022 and that its current liabilities exceeded its current assets by 12 billion ringgit. Now, the auditor noted that Sapura Energy faces severe liquidity constraints and, together with its 22 units, have obtained restraining orders under Section 368 of the Companies Act 2016, as well as separate contractual standstill agreements with lenders, which will expire on June 10th and June 6th, respectively. It noted that Sapura Energy is in the process of undertaking an SOA, or Scheme of Arrangements and Compromise under Section 366 of the Company Act. Sub Energy is on your screen right now. It is down 1 cent to 7.5 cent.
Semalam dah jual kapal.
Malam dah jual kapal?
Semalam dah jual kapal. Cerita jual kapal Sapura.
Dia kata Sapura 3000 kan benda dia kata?
Sapura 3000. Nama kapalnya Sapura 3000.
Okay, one more news
Okay.
on oil and gas. Banyak sangat news on oil and gas pagi ni. Okay, one more news. Icon Offshore is in advanced talk to buy an MRO business. This is coming from their managing director because offshore oil and gas services firm Icon Offshore is in advanced talks to buy a maintenance, repair and operations business that will help it diversify earnings and boost profitability. And of course, the MD said that we are preparing for the next phase of growth with this potential acquisition. Datuk Sri Hadian Hashim told Bloomberg News in an interview that Icon is going to wrap up the deal before the end of the year. And of course, the acquisition will provide them with a new stream of earning while reinforcing their position in Brunei to help them expand regionally. He declined to name the target but said Icon would be able to fund the acquisition via internal funds and some borrowings from some lenders. The planned deal is estimated to provide at least 30% increase in net income and will mitigate some cyclical nature of the company's earnings. On your screen right now, you can see actually, tadi lah on the screen tadi, up by 10 cent to 10 cent. There you go. Sorry, up by 1 cent to 10 cent. Okay, begitulah dia. Some news from the oil and gas. Okay, enough of oil and gas. We now move on to energy. This is because Tenaga Nasional Berhad has inked a coal import agreement with Indonesia's coal exporters involving imports worth about $3 billion or about 13 billion ringgit for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Energy and Resources Minister Datuk Sri Taqiyuddin Hassan said that the agreement is aimed at ensuring sufficient coal supply so that TNB's energy supply and the country's energy supply is not disrupted. The minister said that the contract value has increased from $2.3 billion last year due to a sharp increase in the price of coal. So, Acap, kalau nak masuk coal business, this might be the time, I suppose. And of course, tenaga is moving this morning, and tenaga is down 2 sen to RM9.13.
Okay. So banyak cerita kalau kita nak lihat TNB pun mencabar juga. Semalam bayar cukai makmur tinggi juga TNB.
I mean, okay, let me tell you, I'm not into buying individual stocks. I'm into ETFs. That's my thing. I mean, other people can do whatever they want. But the individual stock that I did buy many years ago was TNB. And because of one reason. Everybody needs energy. And without energy, nothing is working. Tak kisahlah kita punya canggih ke IR 4.0 ke, 3G, 4G, 5G ke berbagai ke. If there's no energy, there's nothing.
Betul.
Tapi there's an element to this. Because semua janakuasa TNB, semua dekat pesisiran pantai. Dan seperti mana kita tahu, because of climate change, kebanyakan banjir berlaku di pesisiran pantai. Lokasi-lokasi seperti Pakar, seperti di Lumut, seperti di Klang dan sebagainya, sentiasa banjir. So apa solusi kita terhadap memindahkan janakuasa, all these coal plants, away from pesisiran pantai sudah ada, masuk ke dalam sedikit.
Betul.
Every time you move an energy supply inwards, you're actually ensuring the longevity of the country. But it's not cheap.
Yes.
And of course, this will provide some sort of supply. I don't know about you. I'm open to having a conversation on nuclear energy, but not many people actually like this conversation. Apa pandangan Acap?
Sekarang ni kita orang banyak fokus yalah kalau nak merakyatkan isu tu kadang-kadang nuclear energy ni macam besar sangat. Ya. Dan seterusnya sebenarnya kita ada laporan juga sikitlah kita nak tengok dari segi bank. Sebenarnya CIMB Group Holdings berhad merekodkan keuntungan sebelum cukai teras sebanyak 2.1 bilion ringgit bagi suku pertama berakhir 31 Mac 2022, meningkat 17.5% daripada 1.79 bilion ringgit yang dicatatkan bagi tempoh sama tahun sebelumnya, di mana kumpulan mengekalkan keuntungan operasi praperuntukan terasnya PPOP bagi tahun ke tahun mencecah 2.51 bilion ringgit, manakala keuntungan bersih teras meningkat secara positif sebanyak 16 tahun ke tahun kepada 1.55 bilion ringgit. Dan pendapatan operasi teras pada suku pertama itu bagaimanapun mendata tahun ke tahun, tetapi meningkat 2.9% suku ke suku kepada 4.74 bilion ringgit. Dan daripada jumlah ini, pendapatan faedah bersih meningkat 3.8% tahun ke tahun kepada 3.55 bilion ringgit, walaupun margin faedah bersih lebih rendah sedikit sebanyak 2.45% disebabkan terutamanya operasi perniagaan kumpulan di Indonesia, dan pendapatan bukan faedah teras pula merosot sebanyak 10.9% tahun ke tahun kepada 1.19 bilion ringgit disebabkan pelaburan global yang lebih lemah. Itu ceritanya di peringkat CIMB ni.
Every time kita tengok bank, kita tengok NII, kita tengok NIM ataupun net interest margin, net interest income. And then kita tengok net non-operating interest income. These numbers are actually quite important because I hate to say it, but when I was in CIMB, the numbers were astronomical. Return on equity was actually double digits. Lah ni agak payah sikit lah to get those kind of numbers. So kalau pertumbuhan pinjaman macam di CIMB ni dapat meraih momentum seperti yang mana kita tengok dia meningkat 4.9% tahun ke tahun, ini semua dapat membantu dalam perkembangan perkembangan bank tersebut untuk deepening their market in some segments, terutamanya dalam perbankan pengguna, sebab seperti mana kita dah baca semalam, perbankan pengguna pinjaman berkembang sebanyak 6.9%. By the way, kita lah perkembangan pengguna.
Alright, okay. Sedikit saja kita nak tengok on FGV. FGV Holdings berhad.
Kita tengok CIMB pagi ni.
Okay, CIMB pagi ni macam mana?
Up 7 sen to RM5.22.
Okay, alright. So FGV pun mencatatkan keuntungan. Harga minyak sawit tinggi, itulah yang mendorong kepada peningkatan bagi suku pertama berakhir 31 Mac 2022, di mana banyak dari segi kalau kita nak lihat sebanyak sebanyak RM369.24 juta berbanding kerugian bersih RM35.42 juta yang dialaminya bagi tempoh sama tahun kewangan 2021.
Okey, nasib baik Najib tak ada kat sini sebab dia akan sembang panjang lebar pasal FGV. Saya sebenarnya tak berani nak sembang banyak pasal FGV sebab Najib memang daripada dulu dia punya information. Okey, FGV up to sen RM1.73.
Okey, sekian saja Niaga Awani untuk waktu ini. Saya Harits Asyraf Hasnan.
Saya Ibrahim Sani.
Salam hormat.